Chapter 23:38. Master. When Luo Qingtong saw this scene, her eyes turned extremely cold. She raised her hand and grabbed at Song Qing. However, after Song Qing lost his inscription talent, he couldn't resist the aura of the 6th level of the inscription tower. In an instant, he was smashed toward the entrance of the 7th level of the inscription tower. Luo Qingtong was fighting against the light of the entrance of the 7th level. In that instant, Song Qing smashed toward the 7th level. Seeing that his body was about to touch the light of the entrance of the 7th level, Luo Qingtong gritted her teeth and rushed up. However, she was still a step too late. Bang! Song Cheng's body smashed into the light of the entrance of the 7th level. However, to Luo Qingtong's surprise, when Song Cheng's body crashed into the light of the entrance of the 7th level, he wasn't sent flying out of the 6th level like Master Qin. Instead, he disappeared from the entrance of the 7th level. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed. She hastily activated her eye technique. Soon, Song Cheng's faint figure appeared in her blood-red eyes as he disappeared into the 7th floor. Song Cheng had entered the 7th level. He was fine. Luo Qingtong was both surprised and happy. Her tense and cold heart suddenly relaxed, and even the cold expression on her face softened a little. However, before she could heave a sigh of relief, Little Pig, who was squatting on her shoulder, started to squeal. Be careful. As his voice rang out, the light of the 7th level instantly smashed heavily onto Luo Qingtong's body. She had rushed forward to save Song Qing but didn't manage to catch him in time. However, the light of the 7th level was even more affected by her. Seeing that Luo Qingtong wasn't injured at all under its attack and even went deeper into the light of the entrance, the light of the 7th level seemed to be enraged. Boom! An even more violent and terrifying power than before instantly attacked Luo Qingtong with an invincible aura. The power of this light was even stronger than the one that attacked Master Qin. It was obvious how enraged it was. Boom, boom, boom. That light instantly bombarded Luo Qingtong like 1,000 raindrops. The entire area connecting the 6th and 7th levels was attacked by the light of the entrance of the 7th level, almost covering the entire area. The battle inscription pattern in front of Luo Qingtong was instantly smashed into pieces by this power. The figures of the human martial realm demonic beasts that were summoned by the battle inscription patterns also disappeared in the air at this moment with a wail. The battle inscription pattern of the peak human martial realm was destroyed. The terrifying power of the light of the entrance of the 7th level didn't weaken in the slightest as it violently blasted toward Luo Qingtong. Master! Little Pig cried out in alarm. After Luo Qingtong, Luo Qingtong, Luo Qingtong Luo Qingtong. Disciple. Song Qing didn't care that he had already entered the 7th level of the inscription tower that every inscription master dreamed of. Instead, when he saw that Luo Qingtong was in danger, he rushed back without a care in the world. Even the aura of the 6th level of the inscription tower that she had controlled earlier instantly broke free from her control and returned to its ownerless oppressive aura. Luo Qingtong used the advantage of her innate mixed yuan body and the power of her eye technique to directly copy the inscription aura and inscription innate ability in her body into Song Cheng's. Boom! Just as that vast and terrifying tide-like power was about to blast towards Luo Qingtong, it suddenly lost its target and dissipated in midair. On the other hand, Luo Qingtong directly broke through the light at the entrance of the 7th floor and crashed into the 7th floor. Bang! Her body rolled on the ground and then stood up. Disciple. Chapter 23:40. Cough. I'm fine. When Luo Qingtong broke through the light at the entrance of the 7th level, she was still attacked by the pressure of the 6th level. However, her movements were fast. Before the pressure of the 6th level hit her, she had already broken through to the 7th level, so she didn't suffer much damage. Otherwise, she wouldn't be much better off than Song Qing, who was covered in blood. She coughed lightly and waved her hand at Song Qing, indicating that she was fine. Then, she raised her head and looked at the scene on the 7th level. It was said that no one had entered this place before. I didn't expect the way to enter the 7th level to be like this, Song Qing said beside her, feeling a lingering fear in his heart. That Master Chen was too shameless. He couldn't defeat his disciple, so he used himself to deal with her. If it wasn't for the strange way to enter the 7th level and the fact that he had lost the inscription talent that his disciple had given him, he would have been blasted into smithereens by the light at the entrance of the 7th level. His disciple wouldn't have been able to escape and would have been seriously injured. If it was serious, she might even lose her inscription talent. She wouldn't be able to use the power of inscriptions in the future. After all, the light at the entrance of the 7th level was too terrifying. In order to save him, Luo Qingtong had entered it again and again. Luo Qingtong nodded. She didn't expect the light at the entrance of the 7th level to be like this. Speaking of which, she still had to thank Master Chen. If he hadn't been so shameless at the end, she might not have been able to enter the 7th level. After all, even Luo Qingtong couldn't see through the light at the entrance of the 7th level. This could be considered a lucky hit. When Master Chen pushed Song Qing out, he probably didn't expect such an outcome. When she got out of the 7th level, she would definitely thank Master Chen properly. Outside the inscription tower, a group of people from Tianfeng Inscription City looked in the direction of the inscription tower anxiously. Now, their only hope was to regain the ownership of the inscription tower. However, the people from Lengyu Inscription City were so powerful. Could Song Qing and the others succeed? Hey, Master, you shouldn't have let junior apprentice brother Qing and the others take risks. An inscription master of Heavenly Wind Inscription City beside the city lord couldn't help but ask. His words weren't directed at Song Qing. Instead, he felt that even if the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City couldn't win against the people of Lengyu Inscription City, there was no need to use the strength of Heavenly Wind Inscription City City Lord and the inscription masters of Heavenly Wind Inscription City as a joke. This was especially true for the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord. He had taught countless people in his life, and he was of great significance to the inscription masters of Heavenly Wind Inscription City. The inscriptionists of the Heavenly Wind Inscription City were powerful, and half of the credit belonged to the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord. Originally, the latter couldn't use his inscription strength because his inscription mark had been destroyed. Now that he was forbidden from touching inscriptions, he wouldn't even be able to teach others how to use inscriptions. How cruel was this to him? The people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City couldn't bear it. On the other hand, the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord's expression was calm. Qing has the heart. I won't refuse him. Chapter 23:41. In this life, regardless of whether Qing wins or not, I will never touch inscriptions again. On the other hand, because of my decision and Lengyu City's shamelessness, you guys might not be able to use inscriptions in the future. Your identity as an inscription master will also be invalidated. I've let you guys down. As the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord spoke, he let out a long sigh. When he said this, the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City all had tears in their eyes. Master, please don't say that. Among us, there are countless people who have obtained the great Tao of inscription because of you. Now, it started in Heavenly Wind Inscription City and it will end in Heavenly Wind Inscription City. We have no regrets. That's right. Master, we will advance and retreat together with you and Heavenly Wind Inscription City. The people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City spoke with unswerving determination in their eyes. When the other ordinary people who lived in Heavenly Wind Inscription City heard their words, their eyes also turned red. Sigh, looks like this time, Heavenly Wind Inscription City really has no other choice. That's right, we are really going to leave our homes. I wonder if we can still live in other star-filled cities in the future. When the ordinary people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City thought about it, they couldn't help but wipe away the tears in their eyes. As for the shopkeeper who received Luo Qingtong's kindness, he looked in the direction of the inscription tower, his eyes shining brightly. That young man called Xie Qi, could he be the reason why Heavenly Wind Inscription City won't fall like that young lady said? His heart was excited. The shopkeeper of the pharmacy believed Luo Qingtong's words without a doubt. Originally, after waiting for so long, he didn't see any changes, and his heart was filled with despair. However, Xie Qi's appearance allowed him to see some hope. After all, this young man suddenly appeared and said that he was Song Chang's disciple. More importantly, he even made a bet with the people of Lengyu City. In the eyes of others, that young man called Xie Qi might be overestimating himself. However, in the eyes of this shopkeeper, he might very well be the reason why Heavenly Wind Inscription City won't fall like that young lady said. He was in high spirits as he waited for a change to appear in the inscription tower. When the people of Cold Jade Inscription City heard the words of the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City, they all started to laugh complacently. Ha, at least you people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City know your place. This inscription tower definitely belongs to our Lengyu Inscription City. Even your inscription techniques have been accepted by our Lengyu Inscription City. Of course, as they spoke, they looked at the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord and the others with malicious intentions and said, "If you kneel down and beg our city lord, agree to work for our Lengyu Inscription City. Perhaps, our city lord will consider letting you go. Of course, in that way, all of you will have to be slaves and servants in our Cold Jade Inscription City, and you'll have to be loyal and serve the people of our Cold Jade Inscription City for your entire lives. Brothers, don't you agree?" The group of people from Lengyu Inscription City laughed loudly as they spoke. The people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City all clenched their fists as they looked at them angrily. Especially the group of people who regarded the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord as their master and father, they wished that they could rush over and kill them. Bah! Chapter 2342. That's right, even if we live and die with Heavenly Wind Inscription City, we won't be the dogs at the feet of your Lengyu Inscription City. The group of people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City were filled with anger. The people from Lengyu Inscription City snorted coldly. Just as they were about to speak, they saw rays of light explode from within the inscription tower. Then, one by one, figures were ejected from within. Ha! They must be from your Heavenly Wind Inscription City. Let's see how sharp your mouths are. Just wait for despair. The group of people from Lengyu Inscription City sneered. They were pleased with themselves. When Lengyu Inscription City's lord and the others entered, they had already discussed that they would definitely make the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City feel incomparable despair. They would suppress the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City to the 3rd level, making it so that they wouldn't even have the chance to climb up. Thus, the group of people from Lengyu Inscription City had already determined in their hearts. The figures that were ejected from the inscription tower were definitely from Heavenly Wind Inscription City. It seemed that the people of Lengyu Inscription City had gotten tired of playing and kicked them out of the inscription tower. Sure enough, under their gazes, a group of people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City appeared in everyone's line of sight. Ha! People from Heavenly Wind Inscription City, do you see that? Your inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City are all, what? The person from Lengyu Inscription City who was laughing loudly hadn't even finished speaking when his eyes suddenly widened. In an instant, his eyes bulged out like a goldfish's eyes. This. How is this possible? He looked at the scene in front of him in shock. The words in his mouth were suddenly swallowed back into his throat, almost choking him to death. However, he didn't notice this at all. He only held his throat as he looked in front of him in shock and disbelief. It turned out that the inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City who appeared one after another were all carrying the figure of an inscription master from Langyu Inscription City. Those inscription masters from Langyu Inscription City were all like dead dogs. They were all held in the hands of the inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City. Every one of them was half dead. Their heads drooped, and they looked like they had no ability to resist at all. From the scars all over their bodies and the ability to torture them, it was easy to tell what they had experienced in the inscription tower. What? Seeing this scene, everyone in Heavenly Wind Inscription City was in an uproar. They all straightened their bodies and looked forward. Even Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others were the same. They were shocked and speechless as they looked at the group of inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City that had appeared in their line of sight. There was an indescribable feeling of surprise and shock in their hearts. What's going on? Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord's voice trembled as he looked at the group of inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City. His gaze swept across the group of inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City in shock. He had never thought that they would appear in front of him in such a shocking manner. As for the group of inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City, they had already descended when everyone in the inscription plaza looked over. They threw the people from Langyu Inscription City in their hands forward and said coldly, "The people from Langyu Inscription City are shameless. They heavily injured us and trapped us on the 3rd floor, trying to stop us from ascending the tower. Unfortunately, they are too smart for their own good." Chapter 23:43. When the voices of the inscription masters from Heavenly Wind Inscription City sounded out, the people in the inscription plaza realized that they were all injured. What was going on? The people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City were also heavily injured. Furthermore, from the meaning of their words, it was obvious that they had been set up by the people from Langyu Inscription City, which was why they were injured to such an extent. But why was it that in the end, the people from Langyu Inscription City were taken care of by them? The people in the inscription plaza were puzzled. They looked at the group of people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City who descended from the sky and suddenly realized that Song Cheng and his disciple were missing from them. Also, the city lord and the others were not among the people from Langyu Inscription City. What was going on? When everyone saw this scene, they were instantly confused. At this moment, there was a sound from the Heavenly Wind Inscription Tower. Bang! 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 In the sky, rays of light flashed. Then, figures appeared one after another. Ha! It must be the other people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City who came out. Seeing this scene, the people from Langyu Inscription City who were guarding outside were excited again. So what if the people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City beat up their Langyu Inscription City's low-level inscription masters? Their city lord was not among them. There was also a group of high-level inscription masters from Langyu Inscription City. With these people here, the people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City could forget about getting any benefits. However, the people from Langyu Inscription City did not know that other than Luo Qingtong and Song Qing, the rest of the people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City were all here. Therefore, the figures that appeared in the sky were definitely not from Heavenly Wind Inscription City. They were feeling complacent in their hearts. In an instant, a figure fiercely smashed in front of them, causing them to be stunned. City Lord. Everyone looked at Langyu Inscription City Lord who was smashed out of the inscription tower with a dusty face and were instantly dumbfounded. Following that, a series of banging sounds rang out. In an instant, another series of people smashed in front of them, smashing Langyu Inscription City Lord who had yet to get up into the ground. Bastard! All of you, scram! Langyu Inscription City Lord was so angry that he sent all the people who were smashing into him flying. It was only after he sent those people flying that the crowd was shocked to discover that Li Yumu's group had been sent flying. The people who smashed into Langyu City Lord were all high-level inscription masters of Langyu City. What was going on? City Lord Langyu and the others were all blasted out of the inscription tower? Were they moved out by the inscription tower due to lack of physical strength, or were they beaten out by someone? Everyone guessed in shock. After that, when they saw the wounds and sorry state of Lang Yu and the others, they immediately had an answer in their hearts. Oh my God! City Lord Lang Yu and the others were actually blasted out by someone. Who is so powerful in Heavenly Wind Inscription City? You can actually blast them all out. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. Previously, they thought that the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City would definitely lose. However, no one would have thought that under such an advantage, Lang Yu Inscription City Lord and the others would actually be blasted out. How was this possible? Who did it? Was there such an inscription master in Heavenly Wind Inscription City? Everyone thought in disbelief. To think that they had hidden all of this so deeply. They clearly had such a trump card, yet they were still hiding it and pretending to be helpless and in despair. If Master Chen hadn't hidden his true strength, he would have fallen into their trap. When Lang Yu City Lord's voice rang out, Sky Wind Inscription City Lord and the others felt a wave of confusion in their hearts. What did he mean? What did he mean when he said that Heavenly Wind Inscription City had invited a spirit seal master to oversee the city? Song Chang's innate talent wasn't trash at all, but first-rate. Was Lang Yu City Lord's brain damaged? Who didn't know about Song Chang's inscription talent? Moreover, if the people of Sky Wind Inscription City really had such a trump card, why would they be in such despair? It was actually the Master Qin who he thought would definitely defeat Song Ching and Song Chang's disciple, Xie Qi, and blast him out of the inscription tower. Master Qin. How could it be you? Lang Yu's cry contained too much disbelief and shock. How could it be Master Qin? How could it be Master Qin? Chapter 2346. No matter how he looked at it, it should be Master Qin suppressing Song Chang's disciple on the 6th level. Why was it Master Qin who was blasted out of the inscription tower in the end? And the latter's appearance was actually in such a sorry state. Lang Yu Inscription City Lord stared at Master Chen's disheveled hair and pale face. The blood stain on the corner of his lips was incomparably dazzling. It was obvious that this Master Chen had been kicked out by someone. Moreover, he was seriously injured and was teleported out by the inscription tower. What was going on? And the strange cry of Lang Yu Inscription City Lord instantly caused Master Chen to fly into a rage out of humiliation. A heaven-level spirit seal master and a battle spirit master actually lost to a brat. Furthermore, he had to use the help of Song Ching to successfully escape from the inscription tower. Otherwise, with the offensive ability of the battle inscription mark, Luo Qingtong might be able to completely kill him in the spatial turbulence before he was teleported out of the inscription tower. At that time, the one who would be teleported out of the inscription tower might be his corpse. Such a thing was a great humiliation to him. However, the city lord of the Lang Yu Inscription City asked in such a loud voice in front of so many people. His face was filled with indescribable disbelief. Immediately, Master Chen raised his hand and slapped Lang Yu Inscription City Lord, causing him to roll a few times in the air before heavily smashing onto the ground not far away. Shut up, Ben. As he said this, he forcefully swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Then, he said coldly, if it's not me, who do you think it is? Bastard. His expression was cold and his voice was furious. Lang Yu Inscription City Lord was slapped until he saw stars. His face was swollen like a pig's head, but he didn't dare to make a sound. He could feel the strength of the blow from Master Chen's hand. If he hadn't restrained himself, he would have been half dead. An expert at the peak of the human martial realm. This Master Chen was actually an expert at the peak of the human martial realm. What he sensed on the 5th level was not wrong. The other party had indeed used the battle inscription mark. But if that was the case, how could the other party lose? Battle Spirit Master. This was a battle soul master. Song Chang's disciple couldn't possibly be a battle soul master, right? Ling Yu's city lord was stunned by Master Chen's slap. After slapping him hard, Master Chen snorted and looked in the direction of the inscription tower. Humph, the two of them are really dead. Master Chen heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the inscription tower was completely still. Luo Qingtong's strangeness left him at a loss. He didn't know where the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City found such an inscription genius. He had never heard of this name in the Central Inscription Association. Even that person from the Federation of Trade Unions couldn't be compared to her, right? He was actually so gifted. When he thought about how Luo Qingtong had summoned the battle inscription mark on the 6th level, Master Chen's face was filled with apprehension. But fortunately, when he threw Song Qing towards the entrance of the 7th level, he saw Xie Qi rushing up. Humph, to save Song Qing, Xie Qi will definitely crash into the entrance of the 7th level. Chapter 2347. And now, there was no movement in the inscription tower, which confirmed his guess. The light at the entrance to the 7th floor was incomparably powerful, and even he was severely injured. Not to mention that when the president wanted to enter, he was almost seriously injured and had to recuperate for countless years. If it wasn't for this, how could this inscription tower have landed in this Heavenly Wind Inscription City? Now that there was no movement in the inscription tower, it was obvious that this was because Luo Qingtong and Song Qing had both died in the light at the entrance to the 7th floor. He could escape from the light at the entrance by luck, but the other party couldn't. Especially since all of the other party's abilities and sources of comprehension came from the inscription tower. Thinking of this, Master Chen laughed complacently. He felt relieved. Tianfeng Inscription City Lord, there's no movement in the inscription tower. The two of them have already died in the inscription tower. The battle for the Tianfeng Inscription Tower has ended with the victory of our Langyu Inscription City. The Tianfeng Inscription Tower is ours. He proudly said to the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others. The latter and the others had yet to recover from his words. Hearing his words, the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord's vision instantly darkened. He looked at him in disbelief and said, "You. What did you say?" Qing, they have already completely died at the entrance to the 7th floor. Master Chen laughed coldly. You people from Tianfeng Inscription City own the inscription tower, so you should naturally know what the 7th floor of the inscription tower represents, right? He said shamelessly. After the two of them threw me out of the inscription tower, they overestimated themselves and wanted to force their way into the 7th floor. Now, you can see the result. There's no movement in the inscription tower. They're already dead. When the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others heard this, it was as if they were struck by lightning. They had yet to recover from the shock of Song Qing and Luo Qingtong having extremely strong talent, especially Luo Qingtong being a spirit seal master, when they heard Master Chen say that they had already died in the inscription tower. Everyone wanted to suspect that Master Chen was lying. However, if what the other party said was false, now that Master Chen had been thrown out, they should have joined forces to come out. However, there was no movement from the inscription tower. Not only that, he didn't even see the light of Luo Qingtong and Song Qing being knocked out of the inscription tower. It was very obvious that Luo Qingtong and Song Qing might really have died in the inscription tower just as Master Chen had said. Junior apprentice Brother Qing and the others will definitely not force their way into the 7th floor of the inscription tower after injuring you. An inscription master from the Heavenly Wind Inscription City looked at Master Chen with tears in his eyes. He is going to seize the pagoda for our Heavenly Wind Inscription City. He would never disregard the bigger picture. It's you. You must have used some underhanded trick on it. They had no choice but to collide with the light at the entrance to the 7th floor. The inscription master from the Sky Wind Inscription City glared at Master Chen. The people around him, including the city lord of Heavenly Wind Inscription City, were also awakened by his words and glared at Master Chen and the others. So what? Master Chen wasn't worried that his lie had been exposed. He looked coldly at the people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City and said, "No matter what, I was the last one to leave the tower. The winner is the people from Langyu Inscription City." Chapter 23:48. When his voice rang out, the people of Tianfeng Inscription City finally came back to their senses. A high-level inscription master from Heavenly Wind Inscription City took a deep breath, and then he shouted loudly, "Wait! Our Tianfeng Inscription City has indeed lost to the Inscription Tower. But what about the bet that Langyu Inscription City Lord made with us?" Everyone's hearts were filled with grief. However, this wasn't the time to be sad and despair. Although Luo Qingtong and Song Qing didn't return alive and were ambushed by the people of Langyu Inscription City and seized the Tianfeng Inscription Tower. However, because they had made a bet with Langyu Inscription City Lord, they had won the last chance of survival for the people of Tianfeng Inscription City. The senior inscription master from Tianfeng Inscription City suppressed the grief in his heart and said coldly, "According to the contents of the bet, our junior brother Qing won against Langyu Inscription City Lord. There shouldn't be a problem, right?" When his voice rang out, the group of people from Tianfeng Inscription City recovered from their grief and looked at Master Chen and the others. "That's right. Although our people from Tianfeng Inscription City lost the Inscription Tower, Langyu Inscription City Lord and the others also lost the bet. And among them, you are included." Tianfeng Inscription City Lord recovered from his grief and said coldly to Master Chen, "I wonder what you are going to do." When the words of Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others came out, Master Chen's face instantly turned ugly. Only now did he remember that Langyu Inscription City Lord, that idiot, had agreed to the bet with Song Qing and the others before fighting for the tower. Originally, this bet, in his opinion, was no different from Song Qing and the others sending themselves to their doorstep. In his heart, he was also willing to accept this bet. In the end, who would have thought that Song Qing and his disciple would be so abnormal? Forget about that Xie Qi, who was an inscription genius from who knows where. But that Song Qing, how did he raise his inscription talent to such a high level? Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He was actually tricked by them. He looked at Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others with an ugly expression. If he denied that he was a member of Langyu City at this moment, then the Inscription Tower battle this time would lose its effectiveness. Since he wasn't a member of Langyu Inscription City, he naturally couldn't represent the people of Langyu Inscription City to seize the ownership of the Inscription Tower. However, if he was from Cold Jade Inscription City, then he would have to fulfill his bet with Song City. If Cold Jade Inscription City Lord lost the bet, then he would have to cripple his own inscription ability. These people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City really knew how to grab hold of information. Damn it! When Master Chen looked at Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others with an ugly expression, the latter also looked at him with a cold and determined expression. "Master Chen, what do you think? Please give me your answer." Either the other party would give up the ownership of the Inscription Tower, or they would cripple their own inscription skills. It all depended on the other party's choice. When they thought about how this was an opportunity that Luo Qingtong and Song Qing had created for them, the group of people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City burst into tears. They couldn't hold it in at all. "Master Chen, what do you think?" the group of people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City asked in unison. And the group of people from Langyu Inscription City couldn't bear it at all. They looked at Master Chen. Especially Langyu Inscription City Lord, his body was trembling violently. Chapter 23:49. When he was knocked out of the tower, he didn't think of the bet. Now that the people of Tianfeng Inscription City had pointed it out, he instantly shuddered. One had to know that he had bet his life with the people of Tianfeng Inscription City. At most, the other people in Langyu Inscription City didn't have the strength of inscriptions. But he had to pay with his life. When Langyu Inscription City Lord thought of this, he was about to cry. He regretted his actions to the extreme. Why did he have such a cheap mouth before? Why did he have to bet with that poor bastard Song Qing? This time, the other party was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He had hidden his strength and tricked him. Langyu Inscription City Lord suspected that Song Qing was purposely scaring them when he said that he was going to use that formation to find his disciple. Otherwise, how could the inscription man-searching formation go wrong? It was obvious that Song Qing and the others wanted to lower their guard. In the end, in this battle for the tower, they wanted him to make a bet with them because he was complacent and confident. Damn it, they were too sinister. They were too shameless. When Langyu Inscription City Lord thought of this, he couldn't even cry anymore. He trembled as he begged Master Qin, Master Qin. Why don't we? Let's forget about it. Before he could finish his sentence, Master Chen's face darkened and he slapped him across the face, sending him flying. Shut up. Master Chen's face was gloomy. If it wasn't for this idiot, how could he be forced to such a state by the people of Tianfeng Inscription City? Master Chen didn't mention that he also agreed to this bet. He said coldly to Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others, "We will naturally accept this bet." Just as he finished speaking, Langyu Inscription City Lord, whose face was swollen and half of his teeth had fallen out, shook his head like a madman. He wanted to stand up and rush over to deny Master Chen's words. However, the latter's powerful aura enveloped him and instantly froze him on the spot. You people of Tianfeng Inscription City, get ready. Tomorrow, we will come and take over the inscription tower. At that time, the people of our cold jade inscription city will naturally fulfill the bet. As he spoke, he glanced at Langyu Inscription City Lord. Then, he led Langyu Inscription City Lord and the others out of the inscription square. As for Langyu, the City Lord and the others, after receiving the signal from his eyes, also hesitated and calmed down. Following him, they stammered and left. Master. Langyu uncovered his swollen face and said to him hesitantly, "We won't really fulfill the bet, right?" If it weren't for Master Chen's warning look, he would have fought with his life on the line. Naturally, the City Lord of Cold Jade Inscription City was not willing to take the inscription tower. Instead, he wanted his own life. As for the other people from Cold Jade Inscription City, they naturally didn't want to lose their inscription power. They didn't want the inscription tower as much as Master Qin did. After all, even if he couldn't get it this time, there would be another chance. However, that was not the case for Master Qin. Luo Qingtong's appearance caused his heart to be filled with vigilance. He suspected that his actions had already been discovered by someone. If that was the case, then he definitely couldn't miss this opportunity to obtain the inscription tower. Because if he had to wait for another 10 years, he would lose his patience. He had to obtain the item on the 7th level. Of course not. Chapter 2350. After killing the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord and the others, let's see who would dare to propose the matter of fulfilling the bet with them. Without the person who signed the bet with them, this bet would be useless, right? That Master Qin sneered. Langyu and the others were overjoyed when they heard this. That's right, why didn't they think of such a method? Master Qin is wise. After we return, we will immediately make the arrangements. He said with a proud and high-spirited expression. With a chance to live and obtain the inscription tower, why wouldn't Langyu Inscription City Lord do it? Furthermore, at this time, Langyu Inscription City Lord could also sense something. Master Qin came to their Langyu Inscription City this time to help them obtain the inscription tower of the Heavenly Wind Inscription City. It was definitely not for the battle inscription mark of the peak of the human martial realm that he mentioned before. Wasn't this a very simple matter? Master Chen was clearly not only a beginner spirit seal master, but also an even more powerful inscription master. He didn't know if he was an earth-level spirit seal master or a heaven-level spirit seal master. Not only that, he was also a battle spirit master. Since that was the case, what else was worth coveting for the battle inscription mark of the peak of the human martial realm? The only thing that could make him covet it was something else in the inscription tower, right? Thinking of this, Lengyu Inscription City Lord's heart skipped a beat. He thought of the 7th floor of the inscription tower in the Heavenly Wind Inscription City. It was said that the 7th floor was extremely mysterious. When the people of the Heavenly Wind Inscription City obtained this inscription tower, they had once mentioned that even the president of the Inscription Association couldn't enter the 7th floor. They told the inscriptionists who entered to cultivate and improve themselves not to touch the 7th floor. And because the 6th floor of the inscription tower was something that only those who were about to break through to the spirit seal master realm could barely touch, no one paid special attention to the 7th floor. As for Lengyu Inscription City Lord and the others, they just listened and didn't pay special attention to it. Now that he thought that this Master Chen might have other motives, he immediately thought of this matter. In an instant, his heart was fiercely shocked. However, Lengyu Inscription City Lord didn't dare to say a word. So what if he saw through Master Chen's intentions weren't simple? The things on the 7th floor had nothing to do with them. If even the president of the Federation of Trade Unions couldn't obtain it, then there was no need for people like them to even think about it. Whatever Master Chen wanted to do was none of their business. They only needed to obtain the inscription tower. Thinking about this, Lengyu Inscription City Lord became happy again. The group of people rushed back to the place where they were staying. In the inscription plaza, the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City gritted their teeth as they watched Lengyu and the others leave. Master. An inscription master from Sky Wind Inscription City covered his wound and said to Sky Wind Inscription City Lord, Lengyu Inscription City's people must be up to no good. That Master Chen said that they will come tomorrow to take the inscription tower and fulfill the bet. I'm afraid, before he could finish his words, the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord had already dejectedly shook his head and said, I know what you mean. As he spoke, he sighed heavily and said, but our Heavenly Wind Inscription City has no other choice. The Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord's words were filled with sadness. Chapter 23:51. With the Lengyu City Lord and the others, how could they fulfill the bet and cripple their own inscription strength? Even if they were willing, how could the Lengyu City Lord hand over his own life? Therefore, when Master Chen said that he would come tomorrow to take the inscription tower and fulfill the bet, there must be a trap. But even so, they had no way to stop the other party. After all, they didn't say when they would fulfill the bet. The people of Lengyu City didn't say that they wouldn't fulfill it, but said that they would fulfill it tomorrow. This matter was reasonable. The Tianfeng Inscription City Lord couldn't stop them just like that. Thus, even if they knew that there was a trap behind their departure, the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others had no way to stop them. Sigh, the heavens really want our Tianfeng Inscription City to die. Originally, they thought that with the bet signed by Luo Qingtong and Song Qing, they could force the people of Lengyu City to give in. However, they were clearly about to succeed. That Master Chen had messed up the situation. It was obvious that the other party was determined to obtain the inscription tower. Just what was it that could make him so unwilling to give up? Thinking of this, the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord's heart suddenly jumped as he raised his head to look at the towering 7th floor of the inscription tower. Could it be, while the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others were confronting the people of Lengyu City, Luo Qingtong had already seen the layout of the 7th floor? The layout of the 7th floor was completely different from the previous 6 floors. The 7th floor was a vast expanse of emptiness. White mist floated in the surroundings, clustered around Luo Qingtong and Song Qing like clouds. The two of them were surrounded by a vast expanse of emptiness, and there were no pillars in sight. If it wasn't for the fact that they had indeed crashed into the 7th floor, Luo Qingtong would have thought that they were no longer in the inscription tower. This is where the 7th floor is. When Luo Qingtong sized up the 7th floor, Song Qing was also very surprised. He looked left and right. To Song Qing, he had never even entered the inscription tower before, so it was naturally strange. However, in order to deal with the people from Lanyu Inscription City, he didn't take a good look at the scene in the inscription tower. He only took a casual glance. Looking at the scene on the 7th floor, he was shocked. This was because the space on the 7th floor looked like an independent space. Unlike the previous 6 floors, there was not the slightest bit of oppressive aura here. Otherwise, Song Qing would not be so carefree here. He didn't have Luo Qingtong's inscription talent to share with him. If there was an inscription aura here, he would have been sent flying long ago. While Song Qing was looking left and right, Luo Qingtong's gaze was fixed on a certain spot in the inscription tower. She had a feeling that the thing that had been faintly attracting her when she entered the inscription tower was right there. Could that be what Master Qin was looking for? Luo Qingtong frowned slightly. She looked at the scene around her and wasn't sure if she should go over and take a look. After all, the space on the 7th floor was too strange. No one knew what was going to happen or what kind of danger was waiting for them. Chapter 2353. When Little Pig spoke, Luo Qingtong looked at him and asked, "Do you know what this is?" She looked at the golden stone tablet in Song Qing, who was wrapped in a large cocoon, and her eyes narrowed. The golden light didn't seem to cause any harm to Song Qing. Therefore, when Luo Qingtong arrived, she didn't have any intention of pulling Song Qing out. When she looked at the golden light, she could vaguely feel a boundless and majestic aura coming from it. Even if there was only a trace of this aura in the golden light, it made her feel as if she was facing the universe. This is, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. At this moment, Little Pig jumped up and said, "Of course I know. You should know too." Little Pig suddenly exclaimed and said to Luo Qingtong, "I forgot that after you left the Tianyu Empire, you never entered the 9-story exquisite pagoda again. Did you notice that this inscription pagoda is similar to the 9-story exquisite pagoda? You forgot that your inscription technique was cultivated in the 9-story exquisite pagoda." Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows when she heard Little Pig's voice. Little Pig was right. When she first learned the theory of inscription technique from Song Qing, she spent most of her time cultivating in the 9-story exquisite pagoda. The 2nd floor of the 9-story exquisite pagoda had the ability to slow down time. At the same time, she could use the power of the 9-story exquisite pagoda to carve inscription marks in the air. This allowed her to carve and inscribe again and again, allowing her to master the most basic inscription technique. When Luo Qingtong thought of this, her thoughts suddenly stopped. Inscription pagoda. 9-story exquisite pagoda. She looked at Little Pig. When Little Pig saw that she seemed to have understood, he immediately jumped up and said to her, "Look at you. Do you remember now? This inscription pagoda is a replica of the 9-story exquisite pagoda. It doesn't have the ability to slow down time like the 9-story exquisite pagoda, but this engraving technique that can turn the pressure of the inscription pagoda into power is a replica of the 9-story exquisite pagoda. No wonder I always felt strange when I entered this place. Check carefully. See if the place in your heart that resonates with the inscription pagoda is from the 9-story exquisite pagoda." When Little Pig's words came out, Luo Qingtong's mind immediately looked at the 9-story exquisite pagoda in her sea of her mind. Sure enough, he saw it spinning around in his sea of consciousness. No wonder she sensed a familiar aura the moment she entered the inscription tower. At that time, the pagoda, the 9-story exquisite pagoda. After all, who would have thought that this inscription tower was actually an imitation of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda? Was to the pagoda, the 9-story pagoda was exquisite pagoda. Luo Qingtong had long passed the time when she needed to carve inscriptions in the 9-story exquisite pagoda, so she didn't think of it. Not to mention her, even Little Pig didn't think of it. If he didn't see the golden stone tablet, he wouldn't have been able to confirm that the inscription pagoda was a replica of the 9-story exquisite pagoda. This golden stone tablet is the source of the pressure in the inscription pagoda. At the same time. Chapter 2354. Look at the golden runes on the stone tablet. Don't they have a boundless aura of the great Tao? This aura is comparable to the heavenly Tao. No wonder no one can break through to the 7th floor. This must be the weird way that old man Tian Mingzi came up with to enter. What a bad taste. Little Pig muttered in his heart as he spoke. That old man Tian Mingzi really knew how to play games. The 7th floor had the aura of the divine inscription. No wonder even the president of the Central Inscription Association couldn't enter and was almost seriously injured. With the aura of the great Tao inscription, who could force their way in? Perhaps only Luo Qingtong, who possessed the genuine aura of the 9-fold exquisite pagoda, could do it. Little Pig could imagine that if Song Qing hadn't accidentally entered the inscription tower, Luo Qingtong would have been suppressed to a certain extent by the aura of the 7th floor's entrance, and the 9-fold exquisite pagoda would have rushed out to protect its owner. At that time, once the aura appeared, the entrance to the 7th floor would have opened for Luo Qingtong. As Little Pig spoke, Luo Qingtong immediately raised her head to look at Song Qing and asked, "What's going on with him now?" "What's going on?" "Of course, it's to refine his inscription talent." "He's lucky." Little Pig looked at Song Qing, who was enveloped by the golden stone tablet, and said, "Who would have thought that Song Qing, a person with 0 inscription talent, would be brought to the 6th floor of the inscription tower by Luo Qingtong's inscription talent sharing? After that, he accidentally entered the 7th floor. After all, the defense of the 7th floor was only set up for inscription masters with inscription talent. Who would have thought that Song Qing, a person with no inscription talent, would be able to enter? And the hiding place of the inscription of God, even if it only contained a trace of aura, for an inscription master, it was a great opportunity. One had to know that before obtaining the divine inscription, Tian Mingzi and the others couldn't create a divine inscription weapon. After obtaining the divine inscriptions, they comprehended them day and night and created the life and death duality sword, a weapon of the great Tao. It could be said to be a semi-divine artifact. Wasn't it because they were enveloped and enhanced by the gods' inscriptions? Their inscription talent had been raised to the extreme, and their own inscription strength had broken through again and again. If it weren't for that accident, it would have been impossible for the people of Sky Ming Palace to be destroyed. That's right, the true name of the Immortal Slayer Palace was the Sky Ming Palace. Bearing heaven's fortune, carving inscriptions. Luo Qingtong used to think that the name, Immortal Slayer Palace, was too vicious. She didn't know that the Sky Ming Palace used to be so arrogant and unbridled. Chapter 2355. No, hearing its words, Luo Qingtong suddenly shook her head. It's not here. The aura contained in these golden lights was too weak. It only had a trace of divine charm. Luo Qingtong felt the power of the inscription of God when she used the life and death dual swords to split the thunder calamity. The aura contained in these golden lights was not even 1% of that of the inscription of God. It was definitely not a part of the inscription of God. It was very likely that it was the aura of the inscription of God left by Tian Mingzi. It indicated the whereabouts and location of the inscription of God. As Luo Qingtong said this, Song Qing opened his eyes in a daze under the golden stone tablet. Disciple. Song Qing only felt that when he looked around, his vision suddenly turned black, and he didn't know anything. How did he suddenly appear here inexplicably? He opened his mouth wide and looked at the scene where he was wrapped in a pile of golden lights. He wanted to struggle out of it, but was stopped by Luo Qingtong. Master, don't move. These golden lights are improving your inscription talent. Luo Qingtong could see that after the aura of the golden runes entered Song Cheng's body, they turned into inscription patterns one after another, immersing themselves in his limbs and bones. There were also some that directly entered his mind. With these inscription patterns, if Song Cheng wanted to learn any inscription patterns in the future, he would not be like before, unable to understand the meaning and inscribe it. Because these inscription patterns, accompanied by the aura of the golden lights, had all entered his body. Therefore, Luo Qingtong stopped Song Cheng. When the latter heard her words, he was stunned. Help him improve his inscription talent. What did this mean? When Song Cheng heard this, he stammered, "Disciple. Disciple. Are you kidding me?" Song Cheng lay on the ground stiffly, not daring to move. His heart was beating like a drum. Improve his inscription talent. Was this a joke? How was this possible? A person's inscription talent was born with it. Song Cheng was already overjoyed that Luo Qingtong was able to use some means to temporarily give him the inscription talent. But now, Luo Qingtong said that he could improve the inscription talent. After the improvement, would he be able to become an inscription master in the future? He no longer had to worry about not having enough talent, being too stupid, and not being able to understand. Song Cheng was so excited that his hands were trembling. That's right. Luo Qingtong looked at his incredulous expression and chuckled softly. It's exactly what you think, master. So be obedient and don't move. Such an opportunity was extremely hard to find. Moreover, Luo Qingtong didn't know if every inscription tower sent out by the Central Inscription Union had such an effect. If only this inscription tower had traces of divine inscriptions, then if Song Cheng missed this opportunity, he didn't know when he would be able to increase his inscription talent again. After hearing Luo Qingtong's words, Song Cheng didn't dare to move in an instant. At this moment, Luo Qingtong's gaze suddenly froze. The golden light enveloping Song Cheng's body became more and more intense. Within the golden stone tablet, layer after layer fell off, revealing a strange inscription pattern. However, regardless of why the other party had come, the whereabouts of the god's inscription on the 7th floor must not be exposed. The news that he had obtained something from the 7th floor must not be leaked. Luo Qingtong had already sentenced Master Chen to death in her mind. After she left this place, he would immediately think of a way to make his move. He wouldn't let the other party have the chance to spread the news of what had happened on the 7th floor. Chapter 2357. By the way, we have to find a way to seal that Master Chen's mouth. When the time comes, let's kill him quietly. Little Pig cupped his cheeks with his hoof and said. Although he had not recovered his strength, there were still people from Heavenly Wind Inscription City. They might not have to do it themselves. As long as they could get out of the inscription tower, they would become the benefactors of Heavenly Wind Inscription City. Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord and the others would be very willing to help them deal with Master Chen. After all, Master Chen was from Langyu Inscription City. Okay. Luo Qingtong nodded calmly. Then, she looked at the life and death sword in her hand. After the life and death sword absorbed the light and aura emitted by the inscription pattern, the black and white luster on its body shone brightly. They meandered around like two dragons intertwining with each other. The lights seemed to be fusing and resisting at the same time. They were opposing each other and suddenly fusing together. Luo Qingtong could easily feel that the life and death sword was different from before. Boz! She raised her hand. In an instant, the black and white lights moved according to her will and intertwined in mid-air to form a gray aura. In these auras, life and death were intertwined and exchanged. Luo Qingtong looked at these auras and suddenly, her heart skipped a beat. Life and death order, reincarnation cycle? This line of words appeared in her mind out of nowhere. As soon as her voice sounded, the gray aura seemed to have received some kind of command and instantly changed. The auras rotated and formed the shape of a token. One moment it was white and the next moment it was black. The cycle of life and death was completely traceless. Luo Qingtong looked at the life and death token that was formed in midair in surprise. The fusion and transformation of black and white. She suddenly understood what had happened to the life and death sword. The life and death chi had fused. Previously, the life and death sword in Luo Qingtong's hand was separated by the life and death chi. When she needed to use the life blade and the death blade, she also needed to change forms. But now, after the life and death dual polarity sword absorbed the strange inscriptions on the stone tablet, it immediately fused with the sword. Its two forms fused together. Life and death chi also began to entangle with each other. In the future, when Luo Qingtong used the life and death yin-yang sword again, she didn't need to switch between the two forms. She could control it at will. Not only that, Luo Qingtong struck out with her sword. In an instant, the sharp sword chi of the life and death yin-yang sword left a sharp and deep gash on the ground of the 7th floor. However, in the next second, Luo Qingtong's thoughts turned. In an instant, that deep and sharp cut was restored to its original state. The transformation between life energy and death energy was completely within Luo Qingtong's thoughts. This included the wound that Luo Qingtong had inflicted. Ha! Luo Qingtong chuckled, her voice as clear as a silver bell. The sword flower in her hand was extremely beautiful. She sheathed her sword in an instant and felt an indescribable joy in her heart. The transformation of the life and death yin-yang sword was very much in line with her wishes. With this sword, when she killed anyone in the future, she could catch them off guard and catch them off guard. Chapter 2358. When she thought of this, Luo Qingtong's laughter became even more cheerful. No wonder Tian Mingzi said it was only a semi-divine tool. It turns out that the life and death sword still has room for improvement. Luo Qingtong was looking forward to finding all the divine inscriptions in the future. When she reforged the life and death sword, she wondered what kind of amazing effects it would have. If she could really control life and death and reverse the cycle of reincarnation, how delightful and surprising would that be? After all, life, death, and reincarnation were all existences that could only be touched by the heavenly Tao. If she could do this, the life and death sword would definitely be the #1 divine weapon in the world. She thought about how the heavenly Tao was jealous of Yi Qianqian's aptitude and didn't hesitate to rupture his meridians and kill him at the age of 28. Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a cold smile. If she could find all the divine inscriptions, even if she couldn't find a way to lift the curse on Yi Qianqian's heavenly vain physique, she could still let Yi Qianqian live for a long time. Even if she had to go against the heavens, she would protect her man. If the heavens wanted to destroy him, she would save him. For some reason, Luo Qingtong's heart suddenly palpitated when she thought of this. She didn't know when she had said the same words before: resolute, domineering, insufferably arrogant, and mighty. Luo Qingtong frowned slightly. At this moment, Little Pig beside her also shouted, "That's right. When we find all the divine inscriptions, we'll reforge the life and death sword. TSK TSK TSK. That would be awesome. Master, you must be the first one to lift the seal for me." Little Pig looked at Luo Qingtong eagerly. He was really annoyed to be locked in this soft and cute body. He had no fighting power at all. Every time he used his strength, he had to wait for a long time to recover. This was simply ruining his reputation. Luo Qingtong raised her brows when she heard Little Pig's words. This was the first time she heard Little Pig mention that she wanted to remove the seal on him. Did she have to wait until the life and death yin-yang sword was completely reforged before she could remove its seal? The strength of its main body was actually so strong. Luo Qingtong pondered and was about to ask Little Pig. But at this moment, Song Qing woke up. Disciple, I'm done. The golden light around him had completely dissipated. When the strange inscription pattern appeared, the golden light that enveloped his body began to slowly weaken. When Luo Qingtong's life and death yin-yang sword absorbed the strange inscription pattern, the golden light on his body dissipated completely. Song Qing finally dared to make a move. He got up like a carp and ran to Luo Qingtong's side. Yes. Luo Qingtong looked at him and nodded. Then, they heard a series of ka sounds. Cracks continuously spread out on the huge stone tablet. Seeing this scene, Luo Qingtong's brows furrowed. She made a prompt decision and asked Little Pig, "No, this stone tablet can't be destroyed." Do you have any way to stop it?" Luo Qingtong's eyes were very serious as she watched the stone tablet violently and the huge rocks rolling down. She couldn't let anyone know that she had obtained the item on the 7th floor. If this stone tablet collapsed, wouldn't the inscription tower lose its effect? Chapter 2359. If someone from the Inscription Association came to investigate, they might even suspect her. Although Luo Qingtong had concealed her appearance and her gender, Luo Qingtong didn't know what to do. However, the people from Song City and Heavenly Wind Inscription City had nowhere to hide. As Luo Qingtong thought of this, her brows furrowed tightly. At this time, Little Pig said, "It's fine. This inscription tower is a replica of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda. You just need to draw out the aura of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda. That old man Tian Mingzi won't let others know that you have the whereabouts of the god's inscription." As soon as Little Pig finished speaking, Luo Qingtong immediately drew out the aura of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda from her mind. In an instant, when the huge stone tablet came into contact with the aura of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda, it immediately stabilized. The cracks on the stone tablet disappeared. On the stone tablet, inscription patterns appeared one after another. The huge stone tablet was stabilized once again. At the same time, Luo Qingtong could faintly feel the aura of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda coming into contact with the stone tablet. The 7 floors of the inscription tower were all under her control. As long as she willed it, she could control every inch of the inscription tower's space. Feeling this, Luo Qingtong's eyes suddenly lit up. As expected, that old man Tian Mingzi has already made arrangements. Little Pig laughed mischievously when he saw that the stone tablet had stabilized. With Tian Mingzi's craftiness, if the stone tablet encountered the real owner, Luo Qingtong, he would naturally be able to use the aura of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda to stabilize it. After all, this inscription tower was a replica of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda. It was extremely easy to control this inscription tower. However, if Luo Qingtong didn't obtain the whereabouts of the god's inscription, then that person would be in big trouble. If the inscription tower collapsed and was destroyed, everyone would know in an instant. At that time, they would be hunted down all over the world. Speaking of which, the Central Inscription Association actually had so many inscription towers. This was the specialty of the Immortal Slayer Palace back then. Without a unique method, it was impossible to activate these inscription towers. Before Little Pig entered the inscription tower, he didn't know that the inscription tower was a replica of the 9-layer exquisite pagoda. Now that it was confirmed, it knew that there must be a problem. The Central Inscription Union is probably an enemy of the Immortal Slayer Palace. To be able to drive these inscription towers, there must be a traitor among them. It said to Luo Qingtong. "Traitor?" Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and looked at it. "Yes. The one who betrayed the Immortal Slayer Palace and caused them to be annihilated." Little Pig said, "Don't tell me you think that such a powerful sect with such powerful inscription technique and inheritance would be easily annihilated by others. If that's the case, they wouldn't have been able to exist in the endless starfield. After all, the inscription technique was coveted by many, and the inscription weapons and inscription diagrams were so powerful. You're saying that there was a traitor in the Immortal Slayer Palace and that was why they were annihilated? Yes. Little Pig nodded. I also heard it from that old man Tian Mingzi when he had nothing to do. Didn't he also tell you that he led the wolf into the house? Chapter 2360. I got it. At that time, she didn't want to inherit the inheritance of the Immortal Slayer Palace, so she didn't pay much attention to it. But now, the enemy of the Immortal Slayer Palace was her enemy. Not to mention, she hated betrayal the most in her life. And the person who betrayed Tian Mingzi was obviously still deeply trusted by him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have destroyed an inscription sect like the Immortal Slayer Palace. Luo Qingtong still remembered Tian Mingzi's madness and sadness when he let her inherit the inheritance of the Immortal Slayer Palace. She could even remember the gratified and evil smile on the other party's face when he left. To force such a sincere and cheerful old man like an old urchin to such an extent. Very good, she would remember that traitor. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed coldly. Now that she had accepted the inheritance of the Immortal Slayer Palace, she would definitely face the other party. If there was a chance, she would naturally be willing to make the first move. At the same time, she would also clean up the sect for that old man Tian Mingzi. Let's go, let's leave this place first. The people outside should be waiting anxiously. We will slowly investigate the matter of the Inscription Association after we go back. Luo Qingtong said to Little Pig in her heart. She and Song Qing had stayed here for a long time, so they didn't know what was going on outside. Thinking about how Master Qin threw Song Qing at the entrance of the 7th floor, she had a feeling that he would do something after he went out. If he forcefully attacked the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City, it would be troublesome. Little Pig nodded and jumped into Luo Qingtong's sleeve. Its existence was too conspicuous. Luo Qingtong was still in a state of hiding her identity. He could not afford to reveal any flaws on her. Little Pig was still very reliable when it came to some serious matters. Song Qing was also a little anxious about the situation in Heavenly Wind Inscription City. Just like Luo Qingtong, he also didn't think that the people of Lengyu Inscription City would give up. Especially since the shameless lord of Lengyu Inscription City had lost the bet with him, so it was very likely that he would take the risk. His inscription talent had increased and he felt that his inscription skills were slowly rising. One had to know that Song Qing had been studying inscriptions for tens of years. His inscription foundation was extremely solid. If it wasn't for his talent being limited, with his hard work, who knows how strong his inscription skills would be. With the help of his inscription talent, his inscription skills shot up like a rocket. Soon, he was promoted to a senior inscriber. As his strength grew, so did Song Chang's confidence. At the same time, he was even more worried about the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City. It's fine. Let's go down quietly. Don't alert anyone. Luo Qingtong's eyes turned slightly, but she didn't stop Song Qing from rushing out. Now that she was in control of the inscription tower, she easily teleported herself and Song Qing to the first level. Let's go. By the time he left the inscription tower, it was already evening. Luo Qingtong looked at the darkening sky and silently left the inscription plaza with Song Qing. Because there was no movement from the inscription tower, no one knew that Luo Qingtong and Song Qing had left the inscription tower alive. At this time, in the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord's mansion. The Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord sighed at the moon, his heart was filled with unspeakable sorrow. That Master Qin was determined not to give up on the inscription tower. His disciple's sacrifice was actually useless. Qing Master is useless. I let you die in vain. The Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord's tears flowed down his face. Chapter 2361. Master. Song Cheng and Luo Qingtong returned to the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord's mansion. For some reason, Luo Qingtong did not allow him to enter from the main entrance. Although Song Cheng did not know the reason, his disciple always had her own ideas. Moreover, she never made a mistake, so he naturally listened to her. At this moment, he and Luo Qingtong quietly appeared outside the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord's room. When they heard the sorrowful words of the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord, they could not help but rush out from the shadows and kneel in front of the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord. Master, this disciple is unfilial and has made you worry. Cheng. Seeing Song Cheng appear in front of him, the City Lord of Heavenly Wind Inscription City rubbed his eyes and was stunned. He took a step towards Song Cheng and then stopped as if he was afraid that it was an illusion. He did not dare to move forward. Cheng, is it you? He asked with a trembling voice. Yes, Master. I am fine. I am still alive. That Master Chen lied to you. On the way back, Song Cheng and Luo Qingtong heard some people talking. They knew that after Master Chen came out of the tower, he told the people of Tianfeng Inscription City that he and Luo Qingtong were dead. Damn it, he was simply shameless. He was the one who lost, but he actually said that he and his disciple were dead. Song Cheng was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Now that he saw the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord so sad, he could not hide the anger in his heart. Master, don't worry, we will come out tomorrow to refute the people of Langyu Inscription City and make them unable to take away the inscription tower. Not only that, we will make them pay the price. The people of Langyu Inscription City lost the tower, including the Langyu Inscription City Lord, all of them lost the bet with him. At that time, let's see how he will deal with them. I am afraid we don't have to wait until tomorrow. Luo Qingtong's face was indifferent. She looked at the surprised Song Cheng and Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and said, if I am not wrong, the people of Langyu Inscription City will take action tonight. Luo Qingtong secretly left the inscription tower with Song Cheng was just to prepare for a rainy day. She did not want that Master Chen to know that she had safely left the inscription tower. Originally, she wanted to use tonight as a cover to head to Leng Yu's residence in Inscription City and find a way to kill him. However, such a method would definitely cause a huge commotion when the time came. Moreover, those people of Leng Yu Inscription City Lord would also be a problem. While she was on the way, Leng Yu Feng Inscription City Lord, Shi Chen's, Luo Qing's City Inscription City. Tianfeng Inscription City Inscription City Inscription City Inscription City Inscription City Inscription City City Inscription City City Inscription City 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 Feng Tian City Inscription City Inscription City Inscription City Inscription City Inscription City City Inscription City City Inscription City. To her, this was an excellent opportunity. When Luo Qingtong spoke, in a certain courtyard in Tianfeng Inscription City, a few powerful men in black with heavy auras knelt on the ground and reported to a man on the couch, "Young master, we have investigated clearly. Chen Mang is in Tianfeng Inscription City. His goal seems to be the inscription tower in Tianfeng Inscription City. However, he seems to have failed and was blasted out of the inscription tower by someone. It is said that it was done by a famous inscription trash in Inscription City." Chapter 2362. A corner of clothes that was as light as silk floated in front of him. The man who was originally sitting on the couch arrived in front of him in an instant. A famous inscription pattern trash. The man's voice seemed to contain a hint of a smile. It was faint, mixed with a hint of indifference and coldness. His voice was faint and carried the warmth of spring, which made people feel very comfortable and warm when they heard it. Just by hearing this voice, one would know that the other party was definitely an elegant young master in a chaotic world. Moreover, he was bright, warm, and gentle. However, when the black-clothed man heard the man's voice, he couldn't help but tremble. Then, he suddenly knelt on the ground. His back was almost parallel to the ground as he said with a trembling voice, "Young master is wise. This is indeed the case. We don't dare to fool you." Chen Meng was knocked out of the inscription tower and his body was heavily injured. We hid in the crowd and saw it clearly. We didn't hide anything. When the black-clothed man spoke, the other black-clothed men all knelt on the ground with cold sweat. They didn't dare to make a sound. Interesting. The man's voice didn't change. It was still the warm voice of spring. However, there was a lot of interest mixed within. A heaven-rank inscription master ranked in the top 10 of the Inscription Master Union, a battle spirit master, was actually defeated by a famous inscription pattern trash. He was even heavily injured and knocked out of the inscription tower. Although there was the special effect of the inscription tower, the person who injured Chen Meng might not have the same strength as him. But an inscription pattern trash? Or a famous person in this heavenly wind inscription city? The corner of the man's mouth held a faint and extremely interested smile. The sky outside shone down. The dim yellow sunset mixed with the faint mist and covered the man's body with a layer of dim yellow light. The color of the light was faint and dark. It illuminated the man's indifferent and cold face, making him look like a jade immortal. White clothes like snow, black hair like a waterfall, casually tied up. His face seemed to be covered with a layer of jade light, making him look like a person carved out of jade. However, that pair of eyes was completely different from the jade-like celestial appearance on his face. Instead, they were filled with a deep darkness. Even the faint smile at the corner of his mouth exuded an indescribable aura of coldness. Get someone to keep an eye on Chen Meng and the people from Lengyu Inscription City. Yu Mingqian's voice was faint. Chen Meng wholeheartedly wanted to obtain the inscription tower in the inscription city, so he would definitely not let the matter rest. Tonight, he might attack the people of Heavenly Wind Inscription City. He wanted to see exactly what he wanted to obtain from the inscription tower. There was also that useless inscription material that was blasted out of the inscription tower by Chen Meng. Song Qing, right? He did not believe that the other party would be able to force Chen Meng, a heaven-rank inscription master and battle soul master, out of the inscription tower. The only explanation was that there was something fishy about the inscription tower. He thought about how Chen Meng had suddenly betrayed the Central Inscription Association for several decades. Although the Central Inscription Association had said that Chen Meng had wanted to replace the president of the Central Inscription Association but had failed, and thus had conspired to harm the president. However, Yu Mingqian always felt that this matter was not so simple. To be able to make his foster father and master so careful and care so much about it. For so many years, they had never relaxed their pursuit and capture of him. He was afraid that this Chen Meng was hiding an enormous secret. Chapter 2363. When she thought of this, Yu Mingqian's eyes, which were as faint as glass, shifted slightly. The gloominess in his eyes grew even deeper. Yes. The black-clothed men replied in unison and turned to leave. During this time, no one dared to even breathe loudly. While Yu Mingqian was instructing the people around her, in the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord's mansion. When the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and Song Qing heard Luo Qingtong's words, they were shocked. Disciple, is what you said true? When Song Qing heard Luo Qingtong's words, he instantly became anxious. If that Master Chen and the people of Lengyu Inscription City were really so shameless and came to kill the Tianfeng Inscription City Lord and the others in the middle of the night, then it would really be troublesome. After all, that Master Chen was so strong. And that shameless Lengyu Inscription City Lord. The people of Tianfeng Inscription City were definitely not a match for them. Song Qing would never doubt Luo Qingtong's words. In his opinion, this disciple of his had never casually joked. If she said this, then it must be true. Furthermore, before Luo Qingtong said it, he hadn't thought of it. At this moment, Luo Qingtong woke up. He immediately thought that if that Master Chen didn't have any schemes, why would he say that he would wait until tomorrow to fulfill the bet and take away the inscription tower? He was simply thinking that after killing the Tianfeng inscription city lord and the others, no one would ask them to fulfill the bet. At that time, they would be able to openly take away the inscription tower and maintain their inscription strength as well as the life of the Langyu inscription city lord. F***ck, this is too shameless. Disciple, what should we do now? Song Cheng was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. When the Tianfeng inscription city lord heard Luo Qingtong's words, he immediately reacted. Previously, they were too grieved. Although they knew that the people of Langyu inscription city wouldn't let it go so easily and fulfill the bet, they didn't expect that the people of Langyu inscription city might come to kill them. After all, although their strength wasn't as strong as the people of Langyu inscription city, once a fight broke out, wouldn't the intentions of the people of Langyu inscription city be revealed? However, after hearing Song Cheng's explanation of Master Chen's true strength, his heart sank. A heaven-level spirit imprint master or a battle soul master? The voice of the heavenly wind inscription city lord trembled. With such strength, why would the other party appear in their heavenly wind inscription city and snatch the inscription tower with their people? That's not right. If that's the case, how did Luo Qingtong, Song Qing, and the others injure them and blast them out of the inscription tower? Furthermore, that Master Chen swore that Song Qing and his disciple were both dead. Thinking of this, Sky Wind Inscription City Lord immediately looked at Luo Qingtong. As for why he wasn't looking at Song Qing, that was because he knew that his disciple absolutely did not possess such ability. Then, all of this was done by Luo Qingtong? When the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord looked at Luo Qingtong, the latter's face also revealed a faint smile. Then, she looked at him and said, "Grandmaster, don't worry. Master and I have obtained quite a lot of opportunities in the inscription tower. It's fine if that Master Chen and the people of Langyu inscription city don't come. But if they really come, naturally, I will make them unable to return." Chapter 2364. Previously, he was too happy with the return of Song Qing and Luo Qingtong that he didn't notice this. Now that Luo Qingtong said this, he carefully sized up Song Qing and realized that the inscription pattern power emitted from Song Cheng's body was different. In the past, Song Cheng's body had never had any inscription power. Even when he became an inscription apprentice, the inscription power emitted from his body was no different from nothing. Seeing the inscription power emitted from Song Cheng's body, the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord was pleasantly surprised. But soon, he began to worry again. But that Master Qin, he looked at Luo Qingtong. This disciple of Song Qing, who had suddenly appeared, had completely refreshed his understanding of him. To be able to blast Master Qin, a heaven-level spirit seal master and battle spirit master out of the inscription tower, he must have obtained a lot of opportunities and improved in the inscription tower. This was their Heavenly Wind Inscription City's fortune to be able to obtain the help of such a person. However, that Master Chen's strength was not weak, and this was not the inscription tower. At this moment, the inscription power emitted from Luo Qingtong's body was not strong. Against that Master Qin, would she have a chance of winning? After all, even if that Master Qin was severely injured in the inscription tower, he still had the strength of a mortal-level inscription master. After leaving the inscription tower, Luo Qingtong would probably not be a match for that Master Qin, right? Thinking of this, the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord's heart was filled with worry. Luo Qingtong had already seen the worry in his heart when he spoke. However, since she could say that Master Qin would not be able to return, she was naturally confident. However, the person who would deal with Master Qin was not her, but, "Grandmaster, don't worry. Don't you have confidence in yourself? Luo Qingtong smiled and said to the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord. That Master Chen's strength has already been severely injured. As long as Grandmaster's strength can recover, you will definitely be able to deal with him. As for those people in Lengyu Inscription City, Master and the other uncles can deal with them. Isn't that so? As soon as Luo Qingtong said this, the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord and Song Qing were instantly stunned. Especially Song Qing. He looked at Luo Qingtong and opened his mouth a few times, but he couldn't say a complete sentence. In the end, he rushed in front of Luo Qingtong and grabbed her hand excitedly. Disciple. You're really not lying. My master's strength, his inscription power, can Luo Qingtong's words, master's S is right, S is S right, S it test, S its inscription S its inscription, S inscription city in inscription. But how could it be easy to reforge the S inscriptions? This was not an injury on an ordinary cultivator's body. It was something related to the inscription's essence and comprehension. It was impossible for Luo Qingtong to repair the S inscriptions, like how she treated other warriors. After all, they were not of the same nature at all. In fact, those whose inscriptions had no hope of recovery. Chapter 2365. Luo Qingtong looked at the life and death yin-yang sword in her hand. The latter was not kept in her sea of consciousness but was still held in her hand. Sensing her gaze, the life and death yin-yang sword hummed softly as if it had a mind of its own. A faintly discernible gray stream of light lingered on Luo Qingtong's fingertip and then quickly dissipated into nothingness. No. Hearing Luo Qingtong ask if he didn't believe her, Song Qing hurriedly shook his head. What a joke! Even if he didn't believe anyone, he wouldn't doubt his own disciple. Ever since the girl had met him, when had she not turned the tide? The strength and ability she had displayed were extremely powerful and mysterious. Thinking of this, Song Cheng's heart was suddenly filled with confidence and excitement. Disciple, then when will you treat my master? Song Qing rubbed his hands, completely unaware that his actions were filled with a wretched aura. He chuckled and looked at Luo Qingtong, his heart filled with anticipation. Let's do it now. Luo Qingtong looked at his mischievous expression and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. This master of hers was probably the master who was the least like a master in this world. But it didn't matter. What Luo Qingtong valued was Song Cheng's sincerity towards her. If it was really an old-fashioned and conservative person who wanted to restrain her like a disciple, Luo Qingtong would not agree at all. In this life, she was used to being unbridled and unrestrained. She could not be that kind of well-behaved and respectful person. She had her own set of rules for doing things. Master, Grandmaster, make the arrangements and come in. Master, when the time comes, you will guard the door. Don't let anyone in. Luo Qingtong said to Song Qing and the city lord of Tianfeng Inscription City. It was already late, and the sun had completely sunk behind the west mountains. Night began to fall. The people of Lengyu Inscription City and Master Qin would definitely come to attack after midnight. During this period, they still had time to prepare. Luo Qingtong believed that Song Qing and Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord would take care of everything. As for the City Lord of Heavenly Wind Inscription City, he was stunned the moment Luo Qingtong opened her mouth. It was only when Song Qing agreed to make the arrangements that he suddenly regained his senses. Xie Qi. You. Who are you? He looked at Luo Qingtong with a complicated expression. How could he not know that she was not just Song Cheng's disciple? Master Chen, who had solved the crisis of Tianfeng Inscription City and severely injured that heaven-level spirit seal master and battle spiritualist. Now, he was able to restore his inscription mark. How could a young man do all these things so easily? Not to mention that Luo Qingtong's face was always covered by a golden mask, covering her face. Naturally, the Heavenly Wind Inscription City Lord misunderstood. He thought that she was some senior expert who had specially come to help Song City. Even the fact that she was suddenly able to cultivate inscription techniques was probably because of her, right? Song Qing said that he would use the inscription technique to find his disciple. It was probably a smokescreen to help him find this Xie Qi, right? Tianfeng Inscription City Lord thought so. Luo Qingtong looked at his gaze and did not explain. It was good to let him continue to be suspicious. Master Chen's identity was probably not ordinary. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.